Hey, this is Pops, and I've been doing heist movies. Going to talk about Reservoir Dogs, one that I rewatch regularly and just really, really enjoy because it's an early Tarantino. Let's talk about it right now. All right, I am Pops, and that's right. Reservoir Dogs, the first Tarantino movie. $1.2 million was just a shoestring budget. Harvey Keitel is the key to this film because he came on board, used his own money to get people out for auditions. He got the clout behind the project and really got it moving for Tarantino. And of course, Tarantino's career really took off because this film found this cult following, film festival success, lots of word of mouth, and that's when I saw the film. I actually had been out doing that circuit, and I think it landed at Varsity Six near the university, and that's when I saw it. I was like, this is a spectacular experience. It was this guerrilla filmmaking that captured gritty crime, very much Scorsese and Mean Streets from back in the day. I recently talked about that here on the channel, and all of this sort of real life gangster talk just kind of comes to life. And you see all the different characters there, and they're given nicknames, of course. They have code names for this heist. And one of the things that Tarantino does brilliantly is he does the heist off screen. We never actually see that. We just see aftermath. We see a few cutaway shots. We see them interacting. We see the consequences of how the heist has gone awry. And obviously, one of the most disturbing elements of the movie, whether you knew it or not at the time, this was a shocking scene. Obviously, the music playing, but Michael Madsen torturing this police officer. Just, oh my gosh, this was horrifying. It really, really was. This is so far ahead of its time with certain types of horror movies and different things. It just kind of landed at the right time to kind of shock an audience. It wasn't a film that you went into knowing, even with this teaser, even with this trailer footage, the way it's playing out here, you don't really know exactly what's going to happen. They have cutaway here with the crime. Mr. Pink, of course, shooting at, taking on some police officers. So everything in the trailer is giving you stuff that happens in the movie, but it's all out of order. It's not in a way in context that is spoiled at all. This is a lost art in today's movie trailers, especially for Sony Pictures. Sony Pictures is, in my opinion, the worst at spoiling major elements of their film. A lot of this film is in this trailer, yet the music's adjusted, the scenes are all cut differently, the messaging of it, the feel of the film is true, I think, but it didn't really ruin anything when we saw it in the theaters. So I'm glad the trailer showcases this scene. This is the one scene for me that blew my mind. The battle that Tarantino had to have gone through with the studio. I believe they sent him to film classes because he set the camera down on the floor for this long hallway shot, this scene that goes on between Mr. White and Mr. Pink, Harvey Keitel, Steve Buscemi. And I always thought this was just so radically different from anything I'd experienced in recent time. Like, the only time I could see anything remotely like this would be foreign films, things on VHS, not in an actual theater. So for me, this was just so bending of what the norm was. And they briefly touched on just all of the performances are just fantastic. This walk, this sequence where they're all being introduced, they're called out by name in the trailer, and all of them are there with their how charismatic they are, how unique they are. They've got on their suits. Chris Penn and of course Joe do not. And I will say, just everything about it feels like the gangsters that you want to be. It makes you feel like you'd want to be around these guys. It's like it taps into that toxic masculinity stereotypes that some people want to throw around, but it really is sort of our love of the crime genre, the mafia genre, the gangsters, heist and caper films, all of that. Tarantino did such a great job of kind of pulling all this together in such a great way. And I don't think this is the best heist film or anything like that. I think Heat is a better film, but when it comes to rewatchability, and I think there's a nostalgia element for me that happens to come into play here because I love so many moments of this film, growing up with it in so many ways. Like, I was in my early 20s. It just feels like at the root of Tarantino's career. It's the foundation for what happens next with Pulp Fiction. It just everything kind of feels so genuine and authentic in this movie. So it's one of my favorites for sure. Tell me, what do you guys think? Is this Where does this land for you? For me, it's super, super strong. I'd probably score this film at like a 7.5, like a a strong 3.5 to 4 stars. I give it a little bit of a nudge for me personally because I know I rewatch it a lot. But as I said, it's because I have sort of like an affinity for it. I look past a lot of its foibles and flaws. I look at the fact that it's just this beautiful guerrilla, low budget, career making film. It kind of blew everything up for Tim Roth, and Harvey Keitel was cemented again in this sort of landscape of our time because you had to go back to Mean Streets, but everything kind of goes full circle with this film. And then, of course, Michael Madsen and Tarantino himself, Mr. Brown, with that crazy, like a virgin speech in the beginning of it. That monologue is completely nuts. Then, of course, just the way they all talk, and it just felt like how we even interacted with, forget about being criminals or not. It just felt like that's the culture and lexicon of society of the time, and how you feel very much connected to those characters because they seem so real. So all in all, one of my favorites, one I go to and rewatch regularly. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I am Pops.